Hey everybody, we are live again. This is the second week since we took like 2 months off of streaming, and it's the second week of Ludum Dare stuff. Last week we did the theme slaughter where we went through the like 1601, I think, themes that were suggested to Ludum Dare 56, and this week we are going through the final voting round of Ludum Dare. And basically there's a list of, I think it's 18, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 12. Okay, I know. I think I miscounted that because I'm pretty sure it's 18, and I just counted 19. I have no idea. Anyway, it's like 18 themes that are in
It's
this.
18.
Okay, yeah, we had 20 each for voting rounds 1 and 2, and then the best of those, the ones that got the most votes, are now in this final round of 18 themes, and one of these, in 1 day and 22 minutes, will be the Ludum Dare 56 theme. So like 2,000 something games are going to be made based on that theme. For those not familiar, Angel and I are tabletop creators, so we do things a little differently. Like most of Ludum Dare's video game creators, we do tabletop, which means that some of the themes that would be awesome for video games, like we were just talking before we started streaming here, mutation or side effects, both the things that would be really cool in a video game because, like, you know, you combine things and you can just code that into the engine. Well, the tabletop game, you're having to look up like lists of like, okay, so if I have this and I have this, like, what does that combine into? Let me go to page 17 and find out, you know, like what that means for me. And like, so that just sounds like a headache and a lot of work. So we are looking at these things a little differently than most people would since we're doing tabletop stuff. But before we get started, Angel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
That's good.
I was working on getting a lot of our mail club zines printed out and put together so we could get those mailed out tomorrow, hopefully. And so I've been keeping busy with that and house like repairs and stuff lately.
Yeah,
so
the house repairs. Yeah.
Definitely keeping busy.
Yeah, we would actually be mailing out our. Actually, this is a good time to throw our like. Go to our Patreon banner across there. We would have been mailing the mail club member. We have 3 tiers for our Patreon, and the highest tier is that we actually mail like an envelope of our stuff to people. And Angel puts all that. The Angel does all the work on that. She'll print the things out. She gets the letters around. She folds up all the zines. Like, she even does, like, this is an example of one, but she did mess it up a little bit, so it's not actually being sent out. This is the one I just made called "The Cave You Feared to Enter," which is based.
You're not sharing yours. Oh yeah, you are. I just had
It's
you
up in
really
the
low.
corner. No, yeah, it's small.
I have
in
the
the
screen
corner.
really low.
I got you. But it's based on the song "The Cave We Fear to Enter" by As I Lay Dying, which is why I changed the name of it a little bit. But it's a zine, and normally when you print these, they're 2 full-size pages that you fold twice and then make like a booklet. But they have the extra, you know, backs of those that are blank that you don't see. But when Angel does it, she actually like double side prints it onto a piece of paper, so you actually get like an actual little booklet, and then these get mailed to people along with like Angel's got a couple surprises in there and stuff this time too. So hey Panic, how's it going? And practicing Japanese, that's awesome.
Yes.
Panic's been talking to our server about learning Japanese, so this is a great place to practice it. And if either one of us knew any, we'd throw it right back at you, but we do not. I personally am doing much better this week, even though I still have really bad mouth pain.
Well, do not konnichiwa. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. I am learning to eat softer foods so that I hurt my tooth less. So at least there's that. I've kind of given up on the idea of it not hurting if I eat anything harder food wise. So it also means drinking warm stuff. So all my waters are warm. There is no cold liquid going in my mouth. And if I need, like, I don't have cough drops because if I do, the sugar just destroys my mouth. But I have honey here. It was Angel's idea that I can just put a little honey on a spoon and eat it, since honey also like coats your throat. But yeah, that's basically it. We've just finished The Cave You Feared to Enter. And Panic says broth. I had a ramen today, and we actually bought. I forgot to use it though. Angel pointed out that Aldi's actually had like 2 different kinds of bone broth on sale for like under $3. So we bought a couple of those, and I'm gonna be making the ramens with bone broth to
They're
add some
higher
protein to it.
protein too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And especially since we're gonna be working a lot on the walls. I noticed I don't know if it's gonna come across the camera, but like I noticed I was like working out and like arms are just like getting really solid because all I'm doing all day now, and like my whole task with the house, we've got a whole wall that's just like it was wallpapered, and then there's like this layer of like thick stuff underneath it that's completely chipping off. So I'm taking like a paint scraper basically and just chipping at the wall. So this is me for like 5 hours a day, like 4 times a week, just chipping the heck out of that.
Hopefully it'll get done sometime.
Yeah.
Whereas I am taking the cabinets off of the like hinges and scrubbing them down, and then scrubbing the hinges and taking the knobs off and just deep cleaning all of the kitchen cabinets to make
Oh
them
my goodness.
not sticky.
Yeah, that stuff was so sticky, and you're getting it not sticky. And it's like the first time in our whole house that you've gotten anything not sticky, because like a lot of the walls are that way and stuff too from the smoking and stuff that was done here like years ago. Panic says ramen with bone broth was one of the things my grandma would eat when I was her live-in helper. That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's
I like
cool.
that. Yeah, and it's like I feel like that's kind of where I'm getting now. It's like, and this happened to me like a year ago, where like I had a tooth over here that gave me a lot of trouble, and then maybe like a month later, it just chipped and it broke, and now it's like there's a hole in my tooth, like big old hole in my tooth.
Mm.
And but until that point, I actually went on a liquid diet. Like I would actually blend foods in the blender, and we found out that like some soups are way better than other soups blended. But this time, I think the ramen's working well because I can eat it on the one side of my mouth, and I like the flavor more. Like it's actually like you get texture. Like when you go to a liquid diet, there's a little bit of texture, but it's like I'm a texture person, and so not having food texture makes me incredibly sad. But
And I made lentil chili, a big old batch of it, so you could have some throughout the week too.
yeah, that was nice. And then my ramens will last longer too.
Yes, you got a lot of them, like
I
different
did.
flavors. I'll have to
They
try
had
them all.
they had the Shin Ramyun stuff for 50 cents. Like the cups too, not like the bricks, like the actual cups. So like you just add some liquid and boom, you microwave it and it's done. I'm like, I'm not passing that up.
Good
Um,
sale.
so we're doing Ludum Dare themes. Again, there were 18 because Angel counted and she's awesome like that. 18 themes here out of the 40 that were in rounds 1 and 2, which is weird anyway, because normally in Ludum Dare they do like 3 rounds of voting and then the final round is like 10 or 15. And these are only like 10 to 15 each. But like, I guess they're cutting down the amount of time they're doing different things. So now it's just this. And also, I'm not 100% sure if when that 19 minutes ends, if they're gonna actually take the screen away. So I'm gonna screenshot that just in case so we can pull that up.
I just screenshot mine too,
Awesome.
and I sent it to you in case you want to compare them.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I see that coming through now. Okay, so there are 18 themes here, and so far all I've done is vote. When you vote in Let 'em Dare, you can give something a -1, a 0, or a +1. And then they basically just total up the numbers, and whoever one has the highest number at the end wins. What I did was I gave everything the same scores from rounds 1 and 2. So these may change throughout today while we're talking about the themes, what we do at them, but that's what these are. I gave a +1 to you are not supposed to be here. So that means these are the ones I really want. You're not supposed to be here. I just think there's a lot of ground you can cover with that. I love anything to do with salvaging. I love anything to do with crafting. And so that's what shelter basically is. Angel even mentioned beforehand that lost signal sounded like an interesting one. And I agree. Like, I think that lost signals are cool because that's very story driven, but also it could be something from like, an alternate dimension or the past or the future, or was it, what's that one movie where she actually was able to talk to like her dad that died across the radio?
Oh, frequency.
Yeah, frequency. So something like that. Like it could even be something like you're talking to somebody and like, that you've lost or that doesn't exist, or, you
It
had a
threw me
kid
off
somewhere else.
because the movie is with a guy actor, and then the series is with a female. So like at
Yeah.
first it was like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah. Panic says his grandma's doctor was like, she needs so much salt, so I really condensed it. Which is
That's
funny
a
because
smart
like
idea.
any other time in the entire world, everyone's like, you're having too much salt. Like you need to
Right.
cut way back on salt. And like, so you couldn't have something like ramen because they're, or even like a canned soup because they're so freaking packed with salt. But Okay.
My grandma used to eat so many crackers that she had like really high sodium because she just that's all she
Oh
would eat,
no.
like a bird. She'd just munch on crackers.
Oh no. I keep donking myself in the face with this
Oh no,
microphone, and I'm assuming it makes a loud sound, so
it
I
did.
moved it. Okay, yes, I moved it. Hopefully that won't happen again. Um, so I guess if we just go from the top here, maybe. Oh, actually, did you plus one anything that I didn't? Yeah, let me look over yours here actually. Okay, so you also plus one. You are not supposed to be here and salvage and shelter. You did not plus one lost signal though. That surprises me since
Oh,
we're
did
talking
I
about that.
not? Okay.
Yeah, this says zero on it. And you also
It
plus.
didn't sound like you were into it, so I just
Oh
didn't.
no, I love lost signal. That's cool.
Okay, then I'll plus one it.
And Angel also plus one descent or descend. Sorry, which is here. Which I'll go ahead and plus one that one too. Then, like I said, I plan on changing these as we go. Like we talk about things and get some good ideas. And what I did think was funny is that I had this document from last week where I wrote down the ideas that were particularly like intriguing to me, and not a single one of these made it. Like usually at
Oh,
least
I
one or
know.
two of them make it to like any of the voting rounds, but like
I was really shocked because like a lot of these I did not initially vote. So like there's a few that we can work with and they're interesting, but they were not what we plussed because it's just kind of a lot more interesting concepts than just like, one word things.
right. And the
So we
thing
just
is, like
kind of stick the one word prompts.
yeah, yeah, I generally do too, unless it's like salvage or shelter. Then it's like, yeah, okay.
Right.
But like, I swear these are almost the exact same list as it was like last year, or the last
Mhm.
Ludum Dare. Like there's so many things you just see over and over again, and it's like,
At least it wasn't the like 10 seconds left or whatever.
ugh. I did see that on the like theme slaughter, and it's like,
I did
geez.
too. And I'm just like, no.
I also noticed in round one, the one actually says like GGJ 2016 on it, like ritual. So that
Yeah,
was the
because that was already a theme.
yeah, it was the theme from the Global Game Jam 2016. So at least they do show that, like, hey, you know what? Like, this was, I mean, granted, 2016 was almost 10 years ago, and that's scary to think about. But like, that was a theme that happened fairly recently. So, like, it makes sense to like warn people, like, hey, um, all right, reflection. The first thing that comes to mind to me is there's a lyric in a song that says, "Oh, it's what the heck is it called? It's by Nemec. Liquid. The song "Liquid" by Nemec. He says something about being in front of a mirror, but he doesn't feel the need to reflect, and I just like that line. Um, that song is in general is really good anyway. If you ever look up, like, if you like metal, go with Nemec, Liquid. But yeah, anyway, reflection. What would we do with reflection? Like, do you have any ideas, Angel?
I know a while back I had an idea for TTRPGs, but it's not a tabletop thing. That I totally had that in my head too. Panic.
That's awesome.
um, but I was thinking because I did, a couple of different TTRPGs that were more about reflecting on getting past negative thoughts and things like that. This would be more like the mirror image, and so you would have a mirror that you hold up, but like a fake mirror, be like a paper or whatever that like would be cut out, and
Mhm.
you would talk to someone else like you were talking to yourself in the mirror, like, and so then you wouldn't feel like you could say the negative things that you thought because you're actually saying them to someone else, but it would just be like an
Okay.
exercise of reflecting on your reflection on, like, having more positive thoughts, like kind of imagining, like say it like you're talking to a mirror and then like put it up like the mirror, like, and have someone else be on the other side of it. Like, would you say those things to someone else? Like, why are you so harsh on yourself? But like, that's not really a board gamey type thing.
No, but I like honestly, I have been really tempted to make something more like the stuff we would make, so something like that to enter it in there because I feel like let them dare we generally make something very unlike what we normally make. Like I think this last time was a really good exception because we made the
The
summoned, which
genie
was
one.
like yeah, which is a collection of small little games, which is something we totally do. And then I had like a story and journaling prompts and all that stuff. And so that was the closest we've come to our stuff. But most of the time it's just like straight up a tabletop game. And we
Well,
don't
I really, we used to. We'd made the card games and things like that, and I think I like that we
sure.
kind of use Ludum Dare to get back to that because like it helps us explore different you know,
That's a good
things
point.
that we normally, kind of set aside. So we end up not, making enough time, I guess is the best way to explain that. So
Yeah.
we don't set out enough time to, actually suss out and play test. And so this is something that helps us make something more play tested and as balanced as we can make it in 3 days, but a little more depth to it than just writing something or hacking SRD or so it's an excuse to actually step beyond that.
Yeah, and without the stress of like, because normally when you're making a tabletop game, it takes people like months to make it, and they're like play testing with so many groups of people. And so in
Right.
Ludum Dare, it's just like, yeah, we get together and we play it a few times, and then like
I
you don't
think that
have that stress.
might be what kind of puts us in a pigeonhole, so that we want to make like solo games, because a lot of the let them
Yeah,
there testers like won't be able to play it if it's just multiplayer.
right.
So getting something to solo or be all right either way kind of ends up being difficult in that amount of time. It's like you either have to make a solo game or a multiplayer, and can't find a balance of both.
Yeah, I like that. I do like the whole like, yeah, like you're we're stuck basically making things solo, which like it's interesting because it gives us like a confinement restriction, I guess. Which is funny though, because we generally, well, I generally go 100% against the restrictions. Trying to give myself like, oh, hey, let's make it so people don't have something big to learn and they can just dive right into the game. And then we write a 17-page document. And like, let's make something that's really easy to, understand. And then we make a game that has like 250 cards in it on screen top. That
Oh,
like,
that was wild, but that was good.
yeah,
We
it was,
still need to post that, like a link to screen top and with it,
yeah, I guess that's
because
true
it's
that we
not
could
on
just
our
do
itch
that.
page.
No, yeah, I don't know what to do with that, but like,
Well,
um,
you did where you made a game, but you didn't post anything to download, and you just had like a link to the doc. You can do the same thing with just linking the screen top.
that's true. That's fair. I think those are cards that could be made into like sheets that people could print. I just wouldn't want anybody to do that because there'd be so much to print.
Well, you can make
Um,
mini cards so that they're like cut out like in
that's true.
sheets. Like they don't have to be whole cards.
That's fair. So since they're really simple cards anyway, like
Right,
it's basically a
exactly.
picture with like a number on it. The next one is absorb, and so like the first thing that came to my mind, even while you were talking, was basically like something similar to that, where you're like basically absorbing the skills, talents, but also the negatives about someone else and taking them on.
I was thinking of that. Is it the blob? Like that thing where you feed the jelly beans?
Oh, a boy and his blob, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what it makes me think of.
That's a very old Nintendo game, by the way. For anybody not familiar with A Boy and His Blob, that was a horribly hard game
I
because
never got past anything.
yeah,
It's
it was
like,
basically a puzzle game that doesn't help you understand what to do, and also like you get these candies, and if you use one of the candies wrong, like whoops, sucks to be you. You got to restart. You don't get those again. So, but yeah, it was basically that like the blob would like you give it a candy like a jelly beanish kind of thing, and then it does something like it might get really tall or like make a bridge or like a bunch of different things it does.
or turn into a puddle, or yeah,
Yeah. In my first, or like an
ladder.
umbrella. I think one of them, like Mary Poppins, do you down to the ground.
Well, that's cool. I never got to that part.
I mean, I didn't use it right. I just needed.
Oh,
um, but yeah, my first, actually, original thought with absorb is Kirby, like
oh yeah.
absorbing an enemy, and that's what made me think of it. Like if you absorb an enemy, um, like you get to use the ability. So like if you absorbed like a person's essence or whatever, like you could kind of act like them or like have their intelligence or their strength or whatever, um and then maybe you could just kind of act like that and like actually take that on for something for real for yourself. Panic says, I'm 69% sure it got a modern reboot. I wouldn't be surprised. It was a classic game back then, so it would make sense if it did. Hopefully it's actually playable and beatable now though. Yeah, Angel says, I kind of feel like Baba is you as the modern reboot. And that's like fair too, because the puzzle game where you're making things change and stuff. Um, did you have any other ideas for Absorb?
I don't. That one
Okay.
didn't really
Okay.
wow me in any way.
You are not supposed to be here. I think you capitalized the B because it's a verb, not a. Yeah. Okay. That'd be capitalized. Anyway.
I
Um.
can't get past thinking of clerks when I hear that. Not supposed to be here today.
Yes.
That would be a cool like time travel thing.
Oh, that's interesting. Like because you're what do
Like
they
you
call it?
weren't there, and so you're
Anachronistic. Like you're not supposed to be there. You have things that weren't meant to be there. Like like
right.
you went in the past and you got a watch on, or like whatever. Even something like having a hammer way back in the past wouldn't be something that they'd have. So like, be interesting. Maybe someone comes to you to tell you that you're not supposed to be in this world because secretly you're too OP for the real world. And so you have to discover why you're or how you're so powerful that you can throw off the balance of the whole world by yourself. So maybe like you're somebody who's like really smart, and so like you could research or invent something, or you're very influential, so you could cause people to raise money for causes that are important to you, or like things like that. Just do creative work that inspires people or something. Like when you think back on people like that are really famous, like Shakespeare, for example. They're like, Shakespeare's probably like 12 different people that wrote those things, and it was just different people that took on the same name. But it's like if it like just because he's too powerful, like he's too good for only one person. So like, what if he was just somebody who was from another dimension or something and wrote all these things and inspired all these people? Like, who knows?
I thought it would be interesting. Like, it's hard to even like express what I'm thinking. But if someone were to run up to you and show you a picture of the scene you were in, but you weren't in it, and said that you were not supposed to be here, like, then you have to figure out what in your life brought you there when you weren't supposed to be, or something.
Figure out how you got there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like what misstep you made because you weren't supposed to be there. But I don't know how that would be a game.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about the OP thing either. Like, but um, yeah, generally, like Angel said. Also, I should have talked about that before. But generally, for Ludum Dare, um, people make games that can be played right in the browser. Like you just like you when you go to rate other people's games, you literally just go to the page. You can play it right here. If not, it's on itch, and you can play it in their browser, and then you rate it. So like it takes you all of like 10 seconds to get into the game and be playing it. With a tabletop game, that's impossible because you have to read how to play it. You might have to print something. You might have to get things together like dice or whatever. This
Oh,
is a lot
this
bigger barrier to entry.
there
What was
was
that?
an idea that I had where you would turn cards over, like you would have just like um cards would be one color on one side and one on the other, and you'd be trying to like blindly make, you know, or they'd be, some of them would be red on both sides and some would be black on both sides, or they'd be black and red. But you're turning it to get the most or a certain pattern. So you're not supposed to be here would be like a certain pattern, or you're changing it. So because you're making those changes, it's like you're not supposed to be here. You should be this color.
That's fun.
Like, so like that would be a two-player game, but it would be kind of cool to do like a battle, or like a timed battle, or a certain amount of moves where you have to get you know more of the layout,
Yeah, that'd be
your
interesting. So
color.
like maybe you have like different cards that enable you to like flip over a certain shape of cards. Like, you can flip over like a 2x2 square or
Hmm.
like a straight line or something. So you'd have to flip over all those cards, but like maybe using
And then on
card.
one turn, you could move like some, or like swap them. Like you can either swap or flip or move. Like you'll have like certain amounts of moves that you can do.
Okay, I like that too. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Honestly, that wouldn't like I don't know about the multiplayer aspect of it. And it could even just be that like, that you have a robot player that you could play against too that would kind of like automatically just like chaotically like mess everything up. I don't know how that would work though. But
You could roll a die, and then it would have to be like robot does this, or like there would be
yeah.
certain amounts of moves. Like so, you'd roll a dice, and it would say, it moves row one, you know, this many cards, or like it would just say that in that section.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea. I think that would be pretty easy to make. Like you probably just do that with like a set of like 6 or 8 cards or something per player, and then um you just have the grid, which would like basically have a single color on the card, and then maybe like in the corner would show you what colors on the other side. So
Well, I
you
think that it would be cool to not know that. Like you'd have to remember. So if you flipped it over,
you have a way better memory than I do. So you're always up on the like, yeah, you can memorize stuff, and I'm like, I'm not gonna remember anything. So
well, I think if you had that, it would be like boring. If there wasn't that, like if you knew, like I don't
well,
know, if there
then
wasn't
the
that
game is
limit
about how to make your cards like the stuff you're flipping over work. Because like
for you.
yeah, it's like those light switch puzzles or whatever in video games where like like yeah, you can flip the switch, but it's gonna flip these other ones at random, or like every time you flip one, it flips the ones all adjacent to it too. So like, if you flip
Oh, well, maybe it could have the
the one in
color on
the
it, but
middle, then it
not the effect. Like, so you'd know that it was black, but then you wouldn't know that, like, it had an arrow to the left and right, meaning you have to flip those as well.
okay, I like that. Maybe each card can have arrows on them that point to additional cards that get flipped over.
So then
Um,
you can actually,
or
or it can
they
have like a
might.
swap or something. So you get to move like 3 cards in your turn, and one of them may be like the swap the card, or, like, so you're just kind of ping ponging things around.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Honestly, that would even just be like I could see you doing that as a solo game just to see like.
Yeah.
See, I like that. That's a cool thing. I'm gonna highlight that because I think that'd be our idea for that one. Um, could do this solo to just see how many turns it takes to win. Okay, yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Honestly, I think if you printed like 2 to 3 sheets of cards, like that'd be done. Because you'd maybe have a grid of like 5x5 or 6x6 or something.
Yeah, and you might be able to put that on. I can never
Screen
think of.
top.
Yeah, that's a screen top. I always think
Yeah,
of
I
the
don't.
other one, and I'm like, not that one.
Yeah, I don't see why that'd be a problem. 36 card grid plus your cards for your actions. So I figure like each round you'd get all of your cards, like you'd get like 6 cards, whatever. And then like you use one and you don't get it back until like you run out of all of your actions, and then you get them back. So like it's basically how many rounds of using all of your cards does it take you to solve this thing. And if you're playing multiplayer, you could like, you'd alternate back and forth, or you could even like have a like you play your cards upside down or something, and then like you both reveal it at the same time, and so both like it happens all the time. I don't know. I think one at a time was slightly better though. Panic says you're not supposed to be here. Sounds like a new stealth game, like a new take on Don't Wake Daddy. It actually that's funny because it reminds me of I think it was called Secret Neighbor.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah, there's this yeah, it is called Secret Neighbor. It's this video game that came out like this is 2019, but basically you're sneaking into this person's house, and like I don't know why you're doing so, but it's basically like a horror game that doesn't necessarily seem like a horror game because it's like kind of colorful looking and stuff. But like the neighbor is walking through their house and you have to not get caught, and there are traps and stuff in his house, and he's just like this weird freaking dude. And so like you're trying to like get around all that, but also like do whatever you're trying to do. So I think we've got that one covered. We actually have a game idea of that one. What about playing with fire? I minus one. I minus one that one, and so did you. In fact,
Yeah.
you, Angel, by the way, has minus one to everything up through mutation. So up through here, except for you're not supposed to be here. So like this one, this one, this one, and this one are all minus one, where I've got them as 0. In fact, I don't think I like absorb as much as reflection, so I'm giving that a minus one. Um, reflection, I think would be okay because we have an idea, but playing with fire.
I really want to do my part to not get stuck with something that I'm not inspired by. So I'm like, no, negative.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the thing. When you see like other people's votes, they usually are like they have like one thing plus one, and everything else is minus one. I'm like, screw everything else. I want this. Like so. Speaking of which, I did see people calling not to do this, but people have been doing it anyway, probably. But like in Ludum Dare, the main page here is basically everybody gets like you can write these posts, and then they all go to this main page, like the intro page here. But usually around now, and right now, a lot of people are saying that they're in, like I'm in or whatever, and so like they'll list like what they're going to be making something with, or like this person showing off their art style. They might be like, I'm using an HP 17-inch laptop, and I'm using C++ to make a game, or whatever. Um, like this person says they've got a 3-person team, just things like that. But usually around now people are like, I voted for this, and then like everybody's just sharing like their list of like that screen basically here that shows what you voted for, and so you can usually guess what's going to be the theme the day or two before, because everybody's sharing those, and it's like, okay, someone even usually runs like an unofficial poll, like what did you vote for, and then like everybody like gets into that poll, and so it's like really obvious what's going to win because everybody said so. But I did see where somebody was like, let's not do that this year, so it can be a surprise. And last time, it seemed like fishing was going to win. Everybody was like, fishing this, fishing that. Like, we can't wait to make a fishing game. And then fishing did not win. So, like, it's not 100%, but also we're under the 24-hour wait like time now because it's 8 o'clock. So, yeah. It's funny. Oh no, it's 21 hours. So yeah, 6 p.m. tomorrow. We're at like 22 hours left. Do you have any ideas for playing with Fire Angel?
Um, it's just such a cliche thing. I don't know. Like, I don't want to make a game that's from a cliche. Like,
I know that's my problem too, and I really feel like playing with fire would be more fun in a video game where like the fire can
yeah.
spread. Like that's kind of the most fun thing about fire in a game is that like it
Honestly,
spreads. So,
that could be the theme for the game we just talked about, and that like you're putting
oh,
out the
that's true.
fire. So that might
That's a
work for both.
fair point. Okay, so yeah, highlighted idea above, but the colors represent
Hi, Orion.
fire spreading.
We're just going through the Ludum
Oh, hey,
Dare's
Ryan.
final round, and there's 18 different prompts here, and we're just kind of talking about ideas that we might make for the Ludum Dare Jam.
Yeah. Yeah, Ludum Dare starts in like 22 hours, so we're just trying to get prepared ahead of time because it could be any one of these 18 themes. I do like the idea of just going with the highlighted above, but like then it's just you're using fire. So plus then that explains why the cards would flip other cards too,
Mm-hmm.
because like then the fire is spreading or whatever. So then you'd even have like a theme of why these things are happening. Because originally I was thinking like like
Yeah, and if they're
electrical or something like
black and red, it could be that those are burnt,
yeah, black
like the
equals
fires
burnt,
put out.
red equals fire. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Green equals like living stuff.
I don't know. That might get complicated if you start putting too many colors.
That's true. So maybe you just like red would be fire, green would be living stuff. if it burns the living stuff for too long or something, then like it's removed. So like you would turn it sideways. I don't know. We'll figure that out if that's the case. But I
Yeah,
don't see playing with fire winning anyway. Um,
I hope not.
tiny creatures is the next one,
Hmm.
which I just feel like there's so much you could do with tiny creatures. Like that doesn't really narrow anything down.
I know.
It makes me think of and I always go back to it. There was this game, and in fact, it's funny because Orion's uh, what do you call it? The like image, like there, the
The wizard.
character. Yeah, it reminded me. It was a game called like Tiny Wizard, and I know I've told you about it before, but basically you have this like it's a business card or a playing card rather, and you just take the card and you throw it on the ground, and then basically there's this little tiny wizard in that spot who's trying to get to some other part of the room or whatever. And so like what would it be like if you were that little tiny wizard on the ground, like reinterpreting basically the room you're in? Like, if the tiny wizard wanted to get on top of the cabinets to grab a snack or something, like what kind of obstacles would your normal room be? Like it's got to climb up this giant freaking cabinet, or
That's cute.
like maybe you have a cat, so like it's got to get around the cat, or like there's you haven't swept in a couple days, so there's crumbs everywhere, and it's got to like climb over these mountainous crumbs on the ground, or just like random little things like that. But I mean that's already been done, so it's not like we'd do that. But it just makes you think of that. And then my other thought with tiny creatures is just like Pokemon.
I was
Like,
thinking that or nanites.
oh, that's interesting. They are definitely tiny creatures. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. That's not one that I hope wins.
I hope not
It's going to
too,
be
but
one we don't have an idea for that wins. It's always the thing.
it always is.
Then we
Yep.
spend like a day and a half thinking like, what are we going to do? And then finally make something.
Hmm. The honey's gotten really sugary. Holy wow. Whew.
Oh, is it like
That's like
crystallized?
pure sugar. It's not crystallized at all, but it's like
Mm.
it does not taste like honey. It tastes like someone melted sugar. Like, have fun with that.
Hopefully it
Um,
helps your throat.
yeah, I'm hoping so too. But yeah, tiny creatures. I guess we can come back to it if we come up with anything. But I don't have anything at the moment.
Okay.
What about under pressure? Other than the song, of course.
That did come into my head.
Yeah, it makes me think of like being underwater, I guess.
I think it reminds me of something pressure luck.
Okay. Yeah, that's very fair. Like it, or like maybe time pressure.
Yeah, or like you have to, defuse a bomb or something stressful.
Now it's just making me think of like what's that game called?
Explosion in the laboratory.
Job Simulator.
Oh, okay.
It's a VR game where you like basically you're like in your office and you're supposed to be working or whatever, but you can like it's a VR game, so you can grab everything and throw it or like whatever. They have those little like games you can play in it, and they actually played it, but I've seen videos of it and I was like really funny. But I just feel like it'd be something like that, but like oh no, actually it'd be more like WarioWare, I guess, because those are very like you have like 3 seconds to figure out how to win the game or whatever, kind of like Mario Party, but like 100 times shorter. And so like it becomes like an exercise in memorizing. Like you'll see the screen and be like, okay, I know I have to do this. I have to jump up here and do this, and then they got it. Or like, oh, this one came up. You need to shake the controller until like all the stuff blows off the screen, or like it's just weird little stuff. So under pressure just makes you think of like you got to defuse a bomb, and then you've got to like do this other thing. And I actually just saw a YouTube short earlier today about like it said like why are doctors burning out, and it was like all these things this dude is facing in like super short amount of time. And so something very stressful like that would make a lot of sense. Mini game collection question mark. Okay, so I guess we have under pressure basically down. We could come up with something along those lines. And hey, if it's a pressure luck kind of thing, especially if we were or like a roll and write thing, like it would be really easy to actually make that something people could play. So that would be cool.
That would be funny to do as a party game where you kind of like ante up like that you can do something and then kind of with a
Oh, okay.
Let's name that tune. They do. I can name that in this many, but this would be like I could do this and this at the same time. Well, I could do this and this at the same time. It could even be, like cards and you play them out or something. Like I could do this, and this. So by the time you're done, someone calls your bluff on it, and if you um, don't do it, you lose a card or you win something. I don't know, but that would be funny party game where you just keep anteing up until someone calls your bluff on it. Like, okay, you do it,
I like that. That's fun.
and then you get like how many points those cards are worth or something.
Yeah. Okay. Win points for each card, or the other people get some kind of score for your failure. I like that. That's cool. So I'll highlight that one because that one makes most sense. I don't know about doing that for Ludum Dare because, like,
Yeah, I know, because it's got to be solo.
yeah, but it could even just be that you're drawing a card and then, like, solo, you
I don't
have
see that being solo though.
hand
That would be fun.
cards, and then you bet whether you can draw another card. Whether you want to draw 3 more and choose one to do. Yeah, I don't think it'd be that much fun solo, but I'm just saying, like, at least it's something.
Well, yeah, and I guess you could bust on that, like in that, like, oh, I can't, like, you keep pressing your luck until you can't do that many things, and then like you don't
Yeah,
win the points from that, and you do it in a certain amount of rounds. Like, so yeah, you could do it. It just wouldn't be as silly.
yeah, it would be a lot less fun. I agree. Mutation is the next one, which we both of us gave that one a -1. I said at the beginning of this, the reason that I think we gave these -1s is because these would be a lot more fun in a video game, where, like, if you already took the green pill and then you take the yellow pill, like, the game just makes whatever happen. Like, it just automatically does it. Whereas in a tabletop game, you're having to, like, flip to the yellow pill page and then look up the whatever pill and, like, okay, this is what happens, and then the game has to even know what any of that means. So, like, it just feels a lot less fun in a game where you're having to manually do all that yourself. And they're kind of similar things anyway. Like, mutation is more like permanent because, like, something is changing about you, but I really don't have any ideas for either one of them.
I don't either. For mutation, what do you mean either one?
Well, a mutation or a side effect.
Oh
Side
yeah,
effects, because they're both, like, pretty similar things. We both downvoted both of those.
yeah. I did 0 on side effects,
Oh, okay.
but I could do downvote. Like,
Well, no, you can do whatever you want. Like, it's your account. Like, you should vote how you want to vote. That's cool. I guess we can jump to salvage, which is funny because I love salvage as a theme, but I never really have any ideas for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, hey, I love salvaging stuff. I love, turning something into something else. Like, but I never really know. A long time ago when I was making video games, I wanted to make a game where, like, you basically fought enemies, and I've seen people do it in video games since then. So it's definitely not a new idea. But, like, instead of getting, like, money to drop when you kill enemies, you just get, like, a part from them or something. Like, if you kill a crab, you might get, like, a crab shell or a pincher or something, and then, like, you could sell those things, or you could, like, craft them into other things that you could then sell that be more valuable or whatever. And so I like that kind of idea, but, like, that's in a video game. It's not and it'd be something that would take way more than 3 days to make anyway. Not sure
I
what to
wonder
do
if that's something that could be a roll and write.
Huh.
I feel like salvage and shelter feel like they could be roll and writes, but I don't know why.
Well, I feel like shelter wouldn't be bad because, like, you could totally just, like, make a house or whatever, like, or make a shelter. And salvage makes sense too because maybe you're writing out, like, like, you're kind of, like, upgrading yourself. Like, a lot of the roll and write games, like, after each round or whatever, you get new abilities you can use, and so, like, you're salvaging the things you find into, like, inventions that make your next rounds better. Oh, pardon me.
You make me on too.
Yeah, so then you can get more points in future rounds because, like, hey, you got this thing that makes you can roll an extra turn, or like you can ignore a bad effect or whatever. So, um, both of those also make me think very much like zombie apocalypse or just any kind of post-apocalypse where like there's a lot of scarcity, so you're like hunting for stuff you can use or whatever. Like you're going out into like dangerous areas to forage and things like that. So I could see that too being like, you're going into different parts of town or whatever, and so you're rolling and writing that basically like Dead of Winter, but much simpler. Going out to find things or building a house, shelter,
I feel
whatever.
like for salvage, we might be able to finish the foragers.
That makes sense. Yeah, the Forager is a game that I made during 2 years ago, like not this year, but the year before. Um, the Knife Bunny Game Jamboree. Zoe runs jam that's 4 hours long on its server, and the premise is you make something like basically you could get on stream with it, or you could just like head in there and type out chat or whatever. But I made it. It might have been this year actually. No, this year I made Make Your Own Fun. So it was last year. But basically, you are these kids that are like trying to come up with things you want to make out of like it's a rondel game. So you're running around the forest basically, like picking up like cool rocks and sticks and like acorns or not pine cones, not acorns. Um, and collecting them to give to people because they wanted them or whatever. And so yeah, I could totally see that being something. It is another thing that would have to be made in Screen Top because it's a little bit of a bigger game, but
Hmm.
I did make and not playtest it, so it would be something we could totally finish.
Yeah, and you didn't finish the rules because I had like laid them out in this really cool like brochure like type thing, but you
Okay.
weren't finished with them. But
Oh, dope.
yeah, so that would be something that we could really kind of hone and do like for that.
That's cool.
But if you wanted
Um,
to make something totally new, that's cool too.
if I got inspired to make something else, I would, but more than likely it would be the Foragers, and that makes sense. It's nice to finish things instead of starting more things when a game jam comes around. So, the next theme is isolation. I gave that one a 0 myself.
I -1 to that.
In fact, I think I'm actually going to give Salvage the Shelter a 0. Now that I think about it, just because I don't really have a great idea for that.
Well, we kept trying to do that roll and write where it was like the zombie apocalypse. Like, I just feel like,
Did we? I don't remember that.
yeah, there was something. Maybe it was. I can't remember what it was for. Oh, it was. Maybe it was for the 10-second one. I think we ended up doing Epicathlon instead. I could be wrong. I don't know. There was a Ludum Dare where we were trying to do a roll and write, and it was like setting up a zombie apocalypse, like not shelter, but I can't like like an area that you could live in.
Okay, I don't remember that at all. I remember the only one I remember is we were talking about maybe doing one where like the Tooth Fairy was involved, or like you were digging
Yeah,
and like you're
it might not have been the Epicathlon one.
yeah, and I probably have that written down somewhere then if like we had an idea for it, but
Yeah, we
I don't
had
know where it'd
one
be.
written out and everything, and it just wasn't working out right because we had like solar power and like you could dedicate stuff to like different like to the food and the shelter and the solar power and like
That's starting to sound a little familiar, but yeah, I don't.
yeah. Well,
Hmm. Okay. Maybe an old idea from another Ludum Dare about the zombie apocalypse. Okay, isolation is the next theme. Um, I feel like I make a lot of stuff about being alone anyway,
yeah.
like, but not like games, or more like zines, like about being alone or things like that. So, um,
I
to
hope
me,
that doesn't win.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna minus. I zeroed it. I'm gonna -1 it, but isolation to me again feels kind of like the under pressure does. Um, or it could even be something like shelter, where like you're by yourself. Kind of like you're the last person on Earth or something, and like what would you do? Or
Well, this
um,
could be very on the nose, and it could be like being quarantined from a pandemic.
that's funny because as soon as you started saying that, I was like, it's gonna be like COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID isolation. Um, something where you're alone, like in space or underwater, um, feeling alone. So yeah, I could see. Did I +1 under pressure? Because I do like that one now. Yeah, I'm a +1 under pressure because we had an idea for that. I feel like there's some ground for isolation, but I'm not a fan of that one either. I still think mutation and side effects are worse, but isolation isn't far behind those for badness. And honestly, like the thing is, um, Orion says filing that idea away for later. That's awesome. But that was 6 minutes ago, so I'm not sure exactly what idea that was. That's what I get for not looking at the screen and writing on my notes instead. Um, I feel like the problem with this too is that like for Ludum Dare, and it's something that we like to touch on a lot of times for these themes, is that there are going to be like 2,000 something games made over the next weekend, like this coming weekend, because that's when the jam starts. In fact, let me pull that up. Um, if I go through here, it's actually here. That's actually my games, not there. So you go to like Ludum Dare 55, right? And then you go to Ludum Dare 55 and we go to the stats, right? So 2,194 things were created for Ludum Dare 55. So that was I think April, not August, April. So there are like almost 2,200 games made. We're going to be playing 20 to 30 of them. Oh, Ryan says salvaging enemy claw, crab. That's awesome. Um, so like when you have these themes, there's a lot of games made based on that theme, and some of the themes have a lot of room to play with, like, and a lot of the themes don't. Like a lot of these themes are going to be, you're going to get 2,200 games that are fairly similar, and it's really annoying because nobody wants to play the same game 100 times. In fact, we plan on streaming when we review them or like rate them too, so people can see what we find. Um, but a big part of this is rating other people's games. And so something like isolation means you're going to be playing a lot of games where people are by themselves, or like maybe there's no text at all because like you're isolated, or things like that. So they're going to be very similar games with something like isolation, and I just don't like that idea anyway. So, but at least we have something for
That's fair.
isolation. Next is pathways. So there are two themes here that are basically the same but different. Pathways and connections. Both of them basically are kind of like things that connect one another. Pathways to me though has less wiggle room than connections does. Like pathways could be something like like the veins in your body, or highways, or a literal path through the woods or something. But connections is more like it could be like how two different people are connected, or the 6 degrees of separation kind of thing, or it could also be roads, or the veins in your body. So like I just feel like connections basically covers everything the pathways covers and more. And I have no idea what to do with pathways, unless it was just like Railroad Ink, like something like that. So I guess it could be roll and write, where you're connecting multiple places, which is super derivative of it's called Railroad Ink. It's Railroad Ink with a K. I forgot. Yeah, but it's a roll and write board game. Let's see if I can find an image here. Yeah, here's a good one. So basically, you get this grid here, right? And so every two spaces, there's basically like a connection you're trying to make. And when you roll the dice, you can see them here. They show you the four different things you're going to lay on there. So, like, you might get a road that curves this way, and then a road you can turn that one that way. Like, these connect here. So, these two are connected. No, these are not connected, actually. I take it back because this is a road and that's a railroad. But like if this is all road, then these two would be connected. So that'd be connections. So that's basically the only thing I can think of for connections, which is already a game that exists. But like at least it's something. Let me see actually too real quick if I can pull this up. One of the reasons I'm really excited about doing a tabletop game and stuff in here is that was it innovation? Yeah. Okay. So the game we made um, was right here. It's what is that? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 22nd place in innovation for the whole thing. But number one was this game called Summoning Detective, and it's actually a roll and write game. Like you actually like connect these things as you roll the dice. Like somebody actually made a roll and write game, and it won for innovation. I thought that was so awesome that like, they could actually do that. I'd love to see more tabletop stuff in here. But yeah, roll and writes are great because it takes you 5 minutes to read it and learn how to play it, and then you just write on the paper. And a lot of roll and writes are very like, I want to do that again and see if I can do better. So
Yeah, I play a lot of the roll and writes, or used to. It's been a while. When I had time, I played a lot of the BGA roll and writes over and over.
yeah, and that is the thing. It is very like replayable. Orion here, by the way, says Mars Gothic. It's a game where you have 3 crew members on Mars who cannot interact, so they all move in parallel in real time.
Interesting.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting, actually. Yeah, I like that too because something like that would be really easy to explain in a game. Like basically, your microphone doesn't work anymore. Your interactions are cut off because there's no sound in space. So it's not like you got that going for you. Ryan says, "I know those roll and writes too." But yeah, we played The Crew, which is kind of similar, where it's like a multiplayer, no interaction game where you're trying to like it's a
Well, limited interaction. You
yeah, that's true.
give clues, but you can't talk.
Yeah, and you're playing tricks, and so a certain like everyone has, or depending on the round, there are different goals that people have. So like if you are supposed to win the blue 7, then like and another player has the blue 7, but you don't know that, so you don't know if you should just play the blue 8, like because if you do that, like you would beat them on the 7, but if the other player only has a blue 9, they have to play it, they would win the trick, you lose that round. Like so there's a lot of that like stressfulness, like how do I test that this is okay to play, like so there's that going on. But again, those would all be things that are multiplayer and so would be difficult. But I guess for pathways we just have roll and write. I think that's fair. Descend though, I think we have a lot of fun room to play with for Descend. Angel was actually just talking about Descend a little bit before we got in the stream. Do you remember what you were saying about it?
No.
It's basically just that like it could be something like you're descending into the earth, so there's something like mining would work. It could be something like you're descending from the sky, so maybe it's like a parachuting game, or
Oh yes.
yeah,
I was talking
a
about
lot.
under the ocean, and
Yeah, that's true too. Because like when you're descending in the sea, like you have to be careful not to go too fast. Same thing with coming up. You have limited air, things like that. So, in fact, under pressure would be like descend and under pressure are both kind of interchangeable as far as that is concerned. So maybe undersea diving, parachuting, diving or digging deep into the earth, which is I was makes me think of like the Balrog from Lord of the Rings,
oh
where
yeah.
like if you dig too deep, you'll reach something like that, like awaken some like ancient horror. So I like that as far as descending goes too. Like, and that could even be like a push your luck game where you make sure you aren't the one digging too deep. So it could even be something as simple as like a rolling game, like you can roll like 1 to 3 dice or something, and you're trying to like gather as much of the stuff you can, but also not go too deep. And so like maybe at least one of the dice has to go depth wise. And so like I think something like that would be super easy. Um, but I also think that like undersea diving would be really easy too. Like basically sort of like an oxygen tracker, like round tracker basically. Before your oxygen runs out, so you're trying to get down there, explore. Maybe you get caught, like lose turns to like hiding from a shark, or like oh, you found something really cool, but you got to dig it up. So like, do you dig it up or do you go back up? Like things like that. So, lost signal. We touched on that one quite a bit earlier about different things you could do for lost signal.
Yeah, I feel like a more epic shut the box type thing might be interesting for that. Like you're trying to, reclaim a signal or something. So something shut the boxy, but a little more innovative than that.
That's cool.
I don't know.
What I liked about shut the box is that like you can kind of do anything with it, like because there's um normally you roll 2 dice and you have to shut down the numbers 1 through 10, but you could roll 3 dice and shut down 1 through 12, or you could do it with cards, and who knows, basically.
Yeah, it would
Like,
be interesting to have a story with that, like where you're trying to use different mechanics of shut the box to, you know, regain a signal and why. Even if it's that, uh, an alien invasion happened, they overrode everybody's signal, you're a radio station, you're trying to get warnings out to people, and you work on different things to regain the signal to do that. Or and they could be like a series of mini games that are shut the box that end up getting you, closer to getting your broadcast out or something.
let's go like that. I put down that maybe even you learn that the signal can attack the aliens. Like if you're on the right frequency, it like hurts them or something, so they like run away. Like, oh no, stop doing that. Like they have like some kind of neural connection between them, and like when you hit that frequency, it gives them a headache, or I don't know, whatever.
Oh yeah,
Like there's always
and like
something.
signs.
Yeah, there's always something in like the alien invasion movies where like some random.
Weakness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like someone happens upon it. And then so like some everyday person becomes like the hero that saved the earth because of it. Like so something like that would make sense anyway. Could also be a conversation between people in different places, times, worlds, etc.
Oh,
But
kind of
that
like
wouldn't really be a
frequency.
game. Yeah, but that wouldn't really necessarily be like a tabletop game. So um I like that first one though.
I feel like lost signal and connections are really similar.
That is true. Connections would be a lot like Lost Signal, except that it could also be. Like, I'm just gonna put that connections. Use Lost Signal or Pathways for this, because Pathways is also in there. So yeah, I think that's fair to say. It's just like connections is this and this. In which case, I think I'm gonna give a +1 to connections, just because like we could use Lost Signal in there. I don't know. It fits Lost Signal better though. Strange Machines is the next
That is
one.
definitely going to be something that's better as a video game than it is for tabletop. But
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I gave it a 0. Yeah, I gave Strange Machines a 0, but I'll probably change it to a -1 because, um, yeah, I still have the one game that I want to fix eventually, um, where you have like basically the square cards, and each side has a different thing that it does. and you get to play the card in any direction you want, and you're basically building like a grid of this machine. So every time the machine runs, it goes through the actions of the cards in order, and some of them will like cause other cards to rotate or whatever. So like, like the first time it runs,
Oh,
maybe good stuff will happen, but then
so
like
like a
later
Rube
on,
Goldberg machine that's a cards.
like a what machine?
The Rube Goldberg. How do you say that?
Oh yeah, Rube Goldberg. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought I said it right, and then I got all like, maybe I'm saying it wrong. So that would be fun.
yeah. And if we both mess with it together, I think we could figure out how to make it fun. Because when I was playing with it, this has been like 6 or 7 years or something now at this point. Like it was not fun back then.
Mm.
I couldn't figure out the fun in it, but I was also making like 8 other games at the same time for that jam. So or the contest. It was the Weird Draft Games contest.
Oh, and it was limited to 18 cards, so that's the thing too.
Yeah, that's true too. I was limited to 18 cards and no components. So if you could even just put like like a token or something on it, like it would help, just to like track it or whatever. Um,
Yeah, that would open up a lot of space to work with then.
that is true though. I forgot about that. With even just like with that contest, like just removing the 18 card limitation helped it a lot.
Right. The in space one that you made was 18 card one, and then expanding that really did something for it. So
Yeah, I think we only expanded it to like 36 cards or something. Anyway, it wasn't a whole lot, but
no, and that like really opened that game up because it was almost fun, and then it really was.
yeah, exactly. Because originally it was like it was actually if she's talking about in space, no one can hear you explode. We made this for Ludum Dare like 2 times ago, and
Hmm.
basically, so you have like this ship. Your ship here is made of 7 cards. And each one of them allows you to do different things with the dice. Each round you're rolling the dice. Um, oh my goodness, I'm having trouble remembering. I think the purple dice are your ship, and so like they allow you to handle the threats. In each round, like if you see here, this first one, for example, you have 2 threats you have to deal with. So you flip over 2 cards, and most of the threats, whether you deal with them or not, will go away, but some of them don't. A couple of them will actually stick around. Um, but you have like, for example, this 2, so you'd flip over 2 cards. If one of them might be like you need a 3 or higher to handle this threat. So if you rolled like a 2 and a 1 on your dice, then like one of the rooms allows you to increase it by 1 to handle it, things like that. And then some rooms have special abilities where you can damage it to like handle something automatically or whatever. So you might purposely damage a room just to get rid of a really nasty threat that requires like 2 or 3 dice to get rid of. And then dice can be used to repair your ship. So like there are numbers here that show what numbers you need to repair them. And I think when we made it, you need like a total of like 8 or something. I can't remember to repair a card. But the problem is that as these things get damaged, you flip them over, you have less actions you can do with your dice. And also, once they're damaged again, they're moved entirely from the ship and they can't come back. So like you can no longer have that ship part ever again until you get to, I think, if I cannot remember. Sorry, it's been a while. But when you get to this repair and flip section, you might get them back. I don't remember. But you lose the game if this reactor is ever lost, and you can only lose a reactor if one of the parts next to it is gone. So, like if when the threat hits you, you roll a number of dice that it says to roll. So if a threat says to roll 1 die and you get like a 2, then this card gets damaged. And then if you get another 2, that card is gone. Or like if you had 2 threats and you rolled 2 2s, and this was not damaged at all, boom, it's gone. Like you just completely lost it in 1 round. And then if you rolled another 2 later, it hits the reactor. So you're kind of protecting the middle there. But yeah, it was it's I think yeah, it's 18 cards of threats. And then we have 1 here, so it's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And then I think there's a reminder card. So that's the 27 cards. We only added 9 more. And then, you have dice. Because in the original one of the cards was a die that you threw in the air. And depending on what side it ended up on, that was the number that was rolled. And then we have a little pawn here to show where on the card you are. Whereas before we had another card that would slide across it. So Like it didn't take much more, but it added a lot to that game. Wow, that was a long tangent though. Um, Ruins is the next theme.
No, that wasn't a tangent. It was nice you explained it.
Well, yeah.
What-
Did you have any ideas for Ruins? Ruins is something I like, but I didn't necessarily have an idea for it. If
I
that
felt
makes
the
sense.
same way. Like, I just kind of have to think of the vibe of what ruins means and then like what would fit the best with it. Kind of like, hey, this would be a good card game, or that would be a good roll and write, or this would be a good something else. Like, I feel like dice could be involved in this one.
I actually just had an idea, and I just thought of it. It could finally be when I get my mountainside. I forget what it's called. The mountainside like rock art
Oh yeah,
thing done, because the whole premise of that one is that you're basically like those things are kind of in ruins and you're the person upkeeping it. So that would make sense for ruins. Um, Hi, I'm hungry because I can't have cough drops. Um, so I'll write that down. Ruins would be the hill. I was just
the hill
calling it
figure,
Hillside Art game before, but it's based on
that Uffington horse.
yeah, and also based on the system used by oh my goodness, what is her name? Sophie. Yeah. Um,
Oh yes, okay.
what was that game called? It was something to do with like
Patchwork potions,
Patrick. Patrick. That's it.
patchwork something.
Yeah, Patrick Potions. Here's a link to it in the chat.
We really enjoyed playing that. We played that on stream at one point and really liked that one.
Yeah, we did. We played it on stream. It's actually on our YouTube channel too. It was like a 4 or 5 hour stream
It
because it,
was.
it ends up being a lot writing all that. But basically, you have this cool. It's like this here. Basically, this starts off white, and then you pick a color for each of these 6 different prompt categories, basically, and then like you'll roll 2 dice, and so like you get like a 3 and a 5. So you could go here 3 5, or you could go 5 3, and you choose one of those. And then like as you do the prompt, you fill it in a specific color based on that prompt. So you'd be using crayons or colored pencil or whatever. And like then the next time, like if I colored this yellow, like we'll just say it's the magenta or whatever, like it is there. Then if I had this space, and these two are still white and that one's the magenta color, then this is based on that magenta color because that's what's the most um the most of that color around. So then this one would get a specific color based on that. And then, like as you go on, the whole game becomes filled up with these, but it's a journaling game. So you're writing about basically being a newcomer witch to a town that like had just lost their witch. Angela and I are both of the mindset that we aren't huge fans of witches in general, but we do like them when it's more like an herbalist or like, like basically herbalist with a little bit of magic to it. Or like, you have your like familiar, like a cool animal that you're friends with. Or so the cozy version of witches we like. Kind of like we don't really like most horror, but we do like things that are intense depending on what the
Like
story is, whatever.
suspense, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the level of witch that we really like because you have the mystery of like what happened to the old witch. You're helping out your town. You're learning to like make these potions and help people out. You're foraging for the things that you need or whatever, and it's 100% just based on your own imagination what you're gonna write. So like this one here, for example, if you were to get the witchery category, someone comes to you in need of major assistance. Helping them will incur significant cost to you through resources, time, or personal well-being. Do you offer aid? And so that's the whole prompt. And you can write as much as you want. You could write, like when I was doing it, I was writing almost like a page, or at least a few paragraphs for each one. Kind of like a journal, basically. And so, like as you're doing that, these 3 letters here determine, like this is witchery. I don't remember what R and H stand for. R is relationships, and H is hearth. And so each of those are different categories of prompts, and then that based on that is how you fill in the rest of the grid as you go. But I had an idea. I had been talking to Sophie and wanted to make a game kind of based on it, where you are the descendants, or you're the descendant of somebody who had created like the mountainside hill art. Um, and the thing about that is that like if there actually was one created, like this giant piece of art that's in the side of a mountain, but the thing is to upkeep that, you have to constantly go back and like cut back any like weeds and like trim down the grass, and you need to refill the dirt with rocks, and also like redig if you need to, like if like the place is getting grown back in. So there's a lot of work to upkeep that. And so the idea of this is that you are a descendant of the person who originally created it. You really don't care about it, or maybe you do, depending on like the game you're playing. Your character might love the fact that they have that role, or might hate it, or might even decide, what, like if this is mine, I'm going to change what it looks like. Like I'm going to make it my hill art instead, or whatever. So like it's just it uses this system, but you're basically creating your art as you go based on like what you do on this grid too. And I've wanted to make that for like years now, and so maybe that'll be when it
Yeah,
finally
that would
happens.
be really cool.
Yeah,
Orion says, "Art which prompt game?" Like exclamation point. Yeah, this was a really great game, and it's free to download. And I do recommend going on to itch and getting that.
yeah. Orion, by the way, is actually in our server, and makes some really awesome art. Um, I love seeing Orion's art in there. There's a channel. Oh my goodness. Current art, hopefully, it's under the Your Creations section. Um, and he makes some really cool stuff. Like I don't know the terms for the things, but it looks like I would assume it's probably like ink art. In fact, I think I can pull one of them up here on the screen. Yeah, I'll just pull it into the actual thing so people can see it.
I actually really love the little forums that you had added because people make them their own, and we get to see a lot of ideas and a lot of art and different
Yeah,
projects people are in the middle of. And it's just like a really great sharing place in our Discord that I couldn't be happier with. It's like everybody made
yeah,
their little
awesome.
room in our apartment building or something.
Yeah, that's it was actually stolen from Zoe's server. Zoe had the same thing set up um for games, and we've done it with like general stuff, so it could be like art or whatever. And yeah, I love that people are showing off and like sharing their things, and especially things like Orion here has where like there's a bunch of different artwork in
Oh,
this
I love
channel.
that.
And then like Panic also does the same thing, where like Panic will share his like learning Japanese or whatever. So like people are not just an individual single project, but also like check out my stuff over time, or like all these different things I made. And so I think that's really neat and smart too. um Ryan says we are the art rats apartments in your walls. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Which is funny because we've had a friend tell us about how like she got rats potentially in her house. So,
Oh,
like,
yikes.
yeah, not the negative, like that kind of rat stuff. So I think yeah, ruins we're good with there, and yeah, I'm definitely keeping that a +1 for that. The last one then is break the cycle.
I have that as a -1.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why. It's another one of those that feels like the playing with fire. Like it's just a saying, and a term that people use
right.
a lot. So,
I actually had I can't remember the name of it, but I do have a game idea that is about breaking the cycle. I do not think it could be made in 3 days. But basically the premise is you start off with like basically like a rondel. And so the premise is that one of you is the hero, chosen by prophecy, and the hero is fated to die in their showdown against this like evil dragon, or whatever it is. And so like throughout the game you are figuring out which of you is the fated hero, by going through the rondel and like doing different things. I think each person had like a card that says like, like a part of the prophecy, and then there are like a couple cards out that show like the prophecy says this and that. And so like whoever is the most, like when you finish the game and reveal all the prophecy, whoever has done the most of it becomes the fated hero and then has to die but becomes a hero. And so the first time you play the game, like somebody dies, the game ends, prophecy fulfilled, you win or whatever. But then like as you continue playing it, like the rondel itself changes to where you can, through difficulty, break out of the cycle, and like there is no prophecy. Like you can befriend the dragon, or the dragon was actually supposed to destroy the town because it's a horrible town with a horrible person, or like there's a bunch of different ways that the prophecy is not supposed to happen. Maybe the
Oh, that's
prophecy is even
interesting.
maybe the prophecy is even a curse by the person. Like the prophecy is that the king would die or something. Like some invaders would come and
Yeah.
kill the king, and the king, like, to escape it, cause a spell that like somebody else would sacrifice themselves for my sake, and it won't happen. But like the king is supposed to die because they're evil or something. So like just basically you're
That
getting
reminds me
around that.
of Battlestar Galactica. All this has happened and will happen again. You
Yeah.
are the harbinger of death.
Yes, exactly. I thought that was really interesting too because the show actually really ends with it happening again too. Like so, I love that. That's very much like, see, it is happening again. Like they were not just making that up as they went. Like Rondell, but I don't know if I can make that in a 3-day period because you're supposed to play through this game multiple times. Like you're slowly, like it's a legacy game, so you're slowly adjusting the board. Um, like people probably wouldn't even get it if they didn't play it like 3 or 4 times anyway. Um,
Hmm.
Oops. That was another one I want to click on. Orion says that bad habits can be a bad cycle, and that is very true. They have actually had some apps that kind of gamify habits anyway, and so like I could totally see that. And that seems like something that we would actually make anyway, like a game version of like getting out of your habits. Like I think I have something like that in the server about like bad habits. Do I? Now I'm gonna look for it.
Hmm.
Um, do. Maybe not. Um, but yeah, I guess it's true. I could always go through, like, generally when the theme is announced, I will go through things that we already have and see if anything applies to it. And then after that, be like, oh, okay, well, like, we have to make something or, whatever. Because it is nice to just use something that we already have versus like starting something new. Um, but yeah, I'm not thinking of what
Yeah,
I
we
had
have
for that.
so many games that are just like in our little salvage yard or half done in Canva that we would love to take time to do. So that would be nice.
Yeah. Orion also says deterministic prophecies. Yes, exactly. And several in parallel, but no one knows if theirs is supposed to be true until someone does theirs. So yeah, I like that too. Like maybe that is the thing. Like the hero is like, like at the end, the hero is given the choice. Like, do you go deal with the issue or not? And like, here's the outcome if you do or don't. Like, so like what he's forcing you to do it. Like maybe you want to become the prophesied one because you don't want to do it. And so like if you aren't, like if you're the chosen hero, then you just choose to sit on your butt and not do anything. Like the king will die, whatever. Sucks for them. Maybe you want the king to die. And then Ryan also says sort of like the secret missions and risk. And yeah, exactly. So like there are a lot of games with the hidden objectives like that. And so this would just be a hidden objective like that where like different people have the different things they're trying to do. Um, what's Oh, okay, Angel sent it. Okay, Angel found the post-apocalyptic game that we were talking about earlier for what game was that?
I don't know which Ludum Dare it was. I think
It was
we ended up.
Shelter. Yeah, I don't know which one that was either.
I don't know if that's what we ended up doing Epicathlon for, or if it was. Um, I can't think of which one it would have been. Hold on.
That makes sense. Like maybe you only had like 10 seconds or something to.
No, that it wouldn't have been that one then. Maybe the crawling to the brink.
That makes sense too. Yeah, I could see it being for that one.
We need to start writing what the prompts were for that stuff.
We do, especially when we're not actually making. Because yeah, I spent like several hours making this, and we were coming up with ideas and stuff. And I'm just like, as I was making it, I'm like, this doesn't seem fun. Like I don't see the fun in
Yeah.
this. And like because of the randomness of it, like because basically the idea of this, if I can remember correctly, is that you have a settlement, post-apocalyptic esque, and so like if you can like fill in these things, then they become housing too. So like this, you start off with one house. You start off with like this. These are power, like solar panels, but you have to connect them to the housing. So like to get power to this house, you have to run this all the way down around here to this. If you fill one of these in, it becomes a new house. If you fill in like 8 of these, then it becomes a farm, which is why these are X's. Like this is basically already done, and there's a farm there. And then you need to get water to the houses. That's why there's an X here and a line because like there's already water to this house. I think for it to be a house, you have to have water to it, and they have to have. Oh yeah, that's what it was. I take it back. So it was you needed water and you need food for one house. It has to be filled in, water to it, and food. So like we had this one already made and then it's crossed off because the food goes here, the water is crossed off because it goes here, and there are 6 water spots that you can get to. So it's 1 2 3 4 5 6. So like if you wanted to get this one all the way up to this house, you'd have to do that. I don't remember what this was up here like, but I think something had to do with coming down here too. But anyway, you'd roll each time, and so you'd fill in the spaces. Like if you roll the 3, you'd get both of those. You roll the 4, you could choose this for housing or this for farming. But the thing was that like this isn't playtested at all. So it could be that you'd roll like and get homes like 1 2 3 like a bunch of times, and you would just be stuck with that. I think actually if you rolled 2 dice, you could choose like if you rolled like a 5 and a 6, you could do a 5 and a 6 or an 11. And so like the solar power like runs to that. The
Yeah, and I
water.
don't know that we'd exactly do that one because, like, I agreed it wasn't as fun, but like it's something that, like, we've had a couple of attempts at roll and rights that we haven't been excited about. I want to get one right.
Yeah, and I think my problem is with like everything else too. I go way too complex. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't need to be a whole grid. You could literally just do like welcome to, where you just have like the numbers and then like you write them in,
Hmm.
and like, oh, you've written a number there, so you've got the house or whatever, like things like that.
Right.
Um Way to find that.
I
Um
actually saved them all in a file in our Canva of things to finish. There's like 30 some things in that file.
that's awesome. It's wild that we have that many things. I have like underneath my chair over there, I have like 15 unplayed prototype games that are actually like I made the physical playable prototypes for them and just have not ever touched them since I
I
made them.
think some of these are like, you have River Pirates threat cards, River Pirates player boards, and then another. So they're like several different 1 card icon, 2 card icon. They're all to the same thing. So it's not 39 games, but it's 39 files. Like you have like No One's Sky there and the Seaside Showdown. Um, that now loading. Remember we were gonna do like behind the scenes of a video game, like arcade machine.
What kind of arcade machine?
Like it was going to be like what happens during the loading screen or
Oh
something.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, we have a lot of different stuff in here.
That was for a Ludum Dare too, actually.
Hmm. Can't remember what maybe that was what we ended up doing.
Oh my goodness.
Crawling to the brink with, but I
It
don't
does
know.
make sense. Like that would have been that theme.
I don't have anything for break the cycle. I keep thinking, and that's not something that really inspired me. I might sometime, but at this
That's really
point,
fair. Okay, so the only ones we don't have ideas for are tiny creatures, mutation, and side effects.
okay.
And then some of them like could be better, but like at
Yeah,
least something there, like starting point.
right. And we can always keep thinking on that.
Yeah.
Tiny creatures could be like a set collection something. There's so
Oh,
many
that's
set
true.
collection games, but
Of getting all the cute tiny animals. Roll and write of making habitat for them. Um,
could be like an ant farm, like an
oh, that's fair too. Like something kind of like
ant
like Ant
colony, or
Colony or like um, which then makes you think of like lemmings. I know they're not
Mhm.
as tiny, but um, ants are kind of neat anyway because they all work together so much and like can do so much with their togetherness, basically. Um, the only thing I can think of for mutation would be like if you had a character and they just had random stuff happening to them, like oh they just grew a third arm. What are they gonna do now? And it's like that doesn't sound like a fun game though. It just sounds like randomly doing stuff. So
I think because there's like the weird mutant monsters that you fight, I keep thinking of a hack of a Fallout shelter of some
yeah,
sort.
or for the for shelter
Mutations.
for mutation. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess it's because of the like crazy mutant monsters that you roll for each like round. But that's what keeps coming to my head as something to do with like Fallout Shelter.
okay. For side effects, I'm just writing down maybe something like everyday enchant or real life things have side effects that can negatively or positively affect things. Affect. For example, a side effect of watching too much TV might be that you, geez, I don't even know. Because initially I'm just thinking you get tired, but like that wouldn't be a bad thing because then it'd be like, okay, well, I want to go to bed, so I watch TV, and it's like that's actually one of the unhealthiest things you can do. So that's not a thing you want to do. For example, a side effect of going for a walk might be that you get energized as you do the things. Your brain forms the connection and reinforces it. But yeah, it's another one of those things where you're just living your life and doing the thing. So it'd be really hard for people to rate because a lot of the thing too is like unless we actually had a direct link back to the thing.
A journaling RPG where you draw cards and then you have to write the side effect of that thing, or like of a happening.
Journaling game where you draw cards and get the side effects.
No, like you have to like come up with the side effects. I was just thinking of something like you keep going back to like a apples to apples hack where it's like you draw a card and then you draw a side effect and then you have to like connect them somehow.
That's fair. So like one person gets like go for a walk and then everyone else plays like cards about like that thing and so
Yeah, but I was thinking more like really weird stuff.
Okay.
but I don't know. That's not gonna work either. Like, super random things and super random side effects.
Okay.
Orion says a game where the side effects are more interesting than the intended ones.
Yes, kind of like the it's not a feature, it's a bug, but like as a whole game. Also said mutation variation breeds innovation. That's awesome, and yes, very true.
This sounds like
I
something from X-Men.
Yeah, it does. Or like oh, what the heck? Um, there are a few different games like Pokemon where you like actually breed the animals to and so like you're trying to like get certain things, but it won't necessarily come out that way. So then like you might breed some horrible thing you didn't want or whatever. So I'm just thinking of like, basically I don't know how you do that in a tabletop game though, unless you like roll the die basically to like, oh, there's a 1 in 6 chance you'll get the good thing or whatever, but like it'd be kind of a journaling thing, I guess. But yeah, I would say something like breeding game where you're trying to get a specific result or something would make sense. From Orion. I think we're pretty good then, though. Like we have our ideas. Um,
Mutation could be a roll and write too, where it looks like a DNA strand, and then you fill things in, and if the DNA strand isn't linked, like you've created something like crazy.
that makes sense. So like maybe certain things can only be connected by certain numbers. So like the good things are harder to connect, and so like, but like if you don't connect it at all, then like it's like not only do you not get that thing, but also something bad happens. Like
Hmm. That's what I liked so much about, what was the name of that one? Shoot, I'm not gonna think of it. It was kind of like there's 13 different boards, and they were rolling rights. Something the moon. It was a welcome to thing.
oh, welcome to the moon. That's actually what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny. But
Like,
yeah, that's
there
true.
was
Like yeah,
some of them where like mutant things happened, and that was interesting.
look
Ryan says, "Ooh,
into.
side effects. Roll for intended effects as a 6, but every lower dice has the side effect." Hmm.
Okay.
That sounds so hard. My ears rang.
Oh no.
Been a long day.
I could see that also being like, so if you settled on a lesser mutation, the number or lesser thing, the number to roll under would be lower. So like, like if you want something to be able to fly, like yeah, you have to get like a 6, and then anything lower would be some kind of side effect. So like, it can fly but only with its eyes closed or whatever. But like if you're like, it's got 2 legs, like that's not really something super abnormal. Like it's not super normal, so you'd probably need like a 3 or a 4. And then so there's less odds of mutations on something like that. Um I think we're good then. Like I am yawning my head off. I don't know why I'm so tired, but like I am very, very tired today. Um, do you have anything to add, Angel? Do you have any other ideas you wanted to add here or anything?
No, I think we have a good start on several of these, so hopefully we get something we're more thrilled about. Like, but
Yeah. Yeah,
but
hopefully.
we'll make it work regardless. Like, even if we run through 17 more ideas, like once we know what the actual
Yeah,
theme
aside
is.
aside from the summoned, which I can't remember what I think the theme was summoning actually on that one.
It
And
was.
and we originally didn't even want it, but then you like when we were doing this last time, you had come up with the idea of a genie's game. And so we actually got excited about it. And like most of the time, though, when the Ludum Dare theme happens, it is not one that we wanted. It's always something that, like, something we minus one and did not want is
Like
what ends up
harvest
winning. Yeah, harvest. Yeah. Um,
and the limit of 10 seconds, something 10 seconds. I can't
every
remember what.
10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, every 10 seconds and harvest, and I can't remember some of the other ones.
Side quests only. I don't remember what the theme of that one was either.
Yeah, we
Um,
have to start noting that.
yeah, I think it says on the like thing. Lone Dare 53 is delivery,
Mm,
and so side quests only. Um, in space, no one can hear you explode was limited space,
okay.
which I originally was like, let's make a game where like you have limited inventory space because my brain always goes to inventory stuff.
Yeah.
But then like I couldn't think of
I
anything that worked
remember
there.
you draw something out with that and we're getting frustrated with it. And I was like, why don't you do this and
Yeah, and I
revisit
think
another game?
yeah, you're right. Crawling to the brink was harvest.
Okay.
So yeah. But yeah, the summoned was the first time we got one that we actually wanted. Like we were excited about it. Um, and hopefully this time around is like that too. That we'll actually get like under pressure or lost signal or ruins. I would actually, out of all of them, ruins would make me the happiest because I've wanted to make that game for a long time and I keep not getting to make that game.
Oh,
So like I would be very happy if ruins won. I can't imagine that it will. It'll probably be freaking isolation or
mutants.
playing with fire, yeah, or
Mutation.
mutation. But at least those would be fun games to play on stream when we do the streaming thing. With that said, I guess we're done for tonight, which is nice because we're not done at like 10 o'clock like we usually are. Um, Ryan says there's so many pen and paper I haven't tried in earnest, and yeah, I agree. Like we have like 100 something games we haven't played that we own, like, and then like there's a
We
lot
have
of them
printed
on.
out a ton of them.
We did. That's true too. I forgot about that. I printed like another 100 or so games too because
We
we
have
had
like a, yeah, the
the like
ink.
the free printing and yeah, exactly. So, um, well, yay! I'm so glad that we energized you. That's awesome. It was great to have you too. You've helped us out too. I listed a couple of your ideas here on my notepad for like in case we run with it, like I'll credit you on that idea. Because it is nice to have those. The breaking habits thing, by the way, is 100% something that fits our vibe as creators anyway. So that's perfect. Um, so yeah, tomorrow and what did I say it was? I'm gonna refresh this page. I might lose it.
Your typo of energized men. It's like we energized all mankind. No.
Yes. Yeah, there's under 21 hours left. So tomorrow when we stream at 7:30, um, in fact, I think we'll start early tomorrow. No, 7:30 is fair because usually right after Let 'em Dare starts, we go for a walk. The first thing we do with Let 'em Dare theme is we go for a walk because if I'm sitting on my computer, I feel like I have to be working on a game. Like, and I'm not working on a game, then I'm wasting time that I should not be wasting.
Yeah, and I came up with that. Like, let's walk, like,
Yeah,
and talk it out. Like,
yeah, it allows us
then
both to talk. Like if I'm away from my computer, I cannot work on a game. So all we can do is come up with ideas. And like I'll totally bring a phone and like write messages to myself or whatever with just little ideas of them, but like I don't
yeah, and
actually take
sometimes we
it.
could walk over a half an hour and like just be like, okay, I guess we're gonna head back. But like other times it's like, okay, keep writing out all these ideas. Like we end up
Yeah,
getting quite a few. It just helps to get, the blood flowing in your brain, I guess. And
it does. Yeah, like walking is good for your thinking anyway. So I mean, it makes sense anyway. But just being away from my computer helps me a lot for that. We normally stream at 7:30. Might start a little early, just depending on when we get back and get ready for it. But it's in our Discord server. Orion's already in there, so I don't need to tell you Orion. But it's just in our Talkie Talk channel, which is the very bottom channel on our server. Which I'm going to share the server link here in. There you go.
thanks to Panic and Orion for joining us. We always
Yeah.
appreciate it.
But yeah, if you join our server here, we will be in the chat channel tomorrow, or on every Friday, starting at about 7:30. You can join us and also get on microphone. You can get in there and just listen to us and like type in the chat because there's like a text chat in there too or whatever. Um, but it's a little easier to interact with people because you can actually get in voice chat. And yeah, definitely thank you, Orion and Panic, for joining us. Also, I think it's still today. It's been a long week. What was it called? Panic shared it. Or Custodial Appreciation Day. That was today. So a happy Custodial Appreciation Day to everybody, including Panic, for Custodial Appreciation Day. I feel like we're not custodians ourselves, but we are working on the house. So I'm claiming like 10% of Custodial Appreciation Day for ourselves for that.
They just need to have an appreciation day where everybody appreciates being appreciated. No.
There you go. Yeah. And then like the day after is going to be Appreciation Day for not being appreciated. Like
Yes, like
people
I
who never get
appreciate
appreciated.
you.
Yeah.
Underappreciated day.
Underappreciated. There you go. Yeah. Kind of like having your own birthday party for yourself and nobody comes.
No.
Oops, I did not mean to click on Game Maker. But yeah, so we will see you tomorrow. And at the end of this weekend, we will have a game out, assuming everything goes okay. All of our previous Ludum Dare games have been free. And again, they're like, this is the list of them.
And some of them are works in progress that we need to go back to, but some of them feel
actually,
like good standalone.
The Summit is actually the one exception to that rule. We made a lot of community copies for Ludum Dare so that people could get it, because one of the big rules of Ludum Dare is it has to be free so people can rate it. But we actually made that one $5 because it's such a big game. There are still 10 community copies though, in case anybody wants them. But all the other ones you can see here, like free. So at least free during here, and we will send out if you become a member of our Patreon. So that one too. It's patreon.com/BethAndAngelMakeGames. If you become a Patreon patron, which is free if you want it to be, like the free members that get all of our posts. All of our posts are free to everybody except for the like polls that are for our higher paid people. But we'll share, like I usually do a post-mortem of the thing too. Like I wrote one here for I thought I shared it here. Yeah, here we go. On Ludum Dare. This is the post-mortem. I wrote a lot about the game. And like I'll do that also with this one, I'm sure. Post-mortem generally just being like, this is what happened. This is why I did the things I did. This is what the game is, things like that. And when we put that out, if you join our Patreon, you'll get an email when it comes out, and you can go grab the game for free. Like this one here, to check the game out on itch, it's free through May 3rd, and it'll be $5 after that. So like, no matter what, you can go grab it for free because it will be free for a while. So like, you can always grab it during that period, and then you'll own it too. So yeah, but we'll see what it is. Like we haven't released a game in over 2 months. We're about to release some this weekend because we finally finished a couple. I actually finished them like 2 days ago, but I haven't been feeling great, and so it's been taking me that long just to get through proofing the like final touches Angel put on them for me because I wasn't even around to do it. So I'll have some games out for that too. So, anything to add, Angel, before we take off?
I think you covered it.
Yeah, have a great night then, everybody. Thanks for coming by. Have a good night. And we'll see you tomorrow if you stop by. And if you are doing Ludum Dare, by the way, have an awesome time doing Ludum Dare. It's my favorite jam ever. And so many people take part. It's just an incredible experience, like making something in a weekend. So,
yes.
Good night, Ryan.
Night.